When I was 7 months pregnant, I noticed a new close confidant appearing beside Shen Yi. They shared everything with each other, understanding one another perfectly. Every day, Shen Yi would buy 2 bouquets of flowers, one for me and one for her. But he never crossed any lines. Until that woman asked him, "If you had met me first, would you have married me?" Shen Yi didn't answer. He just stood on the balcony, silently smoking all night long. Today, Shen Yi seemed like a lost soul. He tried to say something several times, but swallowed his words each time. Finally, I broke the silence. "Is something wrong?" Shen Yi sighed. "I need to go on a business trip to a nearby city. I'll be back tomorrow, but I can't leave you alone. Forget it. I'll arrange for someone else to stay with you." As he spoke, I stared at him without blinking. His words sounded sincere and heartfelt. He met my gaze calmly, without flinching. Puzzled, he asked, "What's wrong?" I shook my head. "Nothing." I said, "Go ahead. What about you? Will you be okay alone? I'll ask my mom to come stay with me." Ever since I got pregnant, Shen Yi had taken care of me meticulously. Especially as my belly grew larger, he grew more uneasy about leaving me home alone. So he turned down many social engagements just to be by my side. What if something happens and there's no one with you? I'd be too worried being away. I'd rather not go. Even when he had to step out, he'd wait until my mom arrived first. He'd give her endless instructions, asking her to take good care of me. My mom would laugh and sigh helplessly. "Your own daughter. Do you think I'd let her suffer?" But today, after just 2 seconds of hesitation, he nodded. "Okay, take care of yourself. I'll be back soon. Call me if anything comes up." He left in a hurry. He only grabbed a change of clothes before rushing out. I sat still, and even when he turned to look at me, I smiled and waved goodbye. After the door closed, I didn't move, but the tension in my stiff back slowly eased. Shen Yi was acting strangely. From start to finish, he didn't seem like himself, yet I didn't say a word more or ask any unnecessary questions, because I knew where he was going and who he'd meet. At first, I didn't know that woman's name. I only knew her surname was Shu, and Shen Yi called her Boss Shu. The first time I met her was a year ago, before I was pregnant. I was waiting for Shen Yi at a newly opened cafe downstairs from his office building. I hadn't told him I was coming, planning to call him at noon, but he walked in unexpectedly. The sleepy receptionist suddenly sat up straight. Shen Yi nodded at her. She smiled and gave an okay gesture. It was an unspoken understanding. I've always found the unspoken connection between a man and a woman terrifying. It makes them think they belong together, that they're destined for each other. But back then, that strange feeling just flickered through my mind, and I didn't dwell on it. Then Shen Yi saw me and was surprised. "Why are you here?" he asked. "Waiting to have lunch with you," I replied. "Why didn't you call me first?" "I didn't want to disturb your work," I asked back. "What about you? Why are you down here?" He rubbed his temples and said helplessly, "Work's been a mess. I came down for a walk and to grab a coffee. They have great baked cookies here. Try some." Then he raised his hand. "Boss Shu, add another serving of cookies." Catching the woman's curious glance, he smiled and introduced me. "My wife." That day, they both acted so casually. Shen Yi introduced me with ease. Shu Yuan greeted me naturally, even treating our meal for free. Shen Yi said the cafe made excellent coffee, and after trying it once, he decided to order their afternoon tea for the office. That's how they got to know each other. Back then, I thought it was just a simple customer-owner relationship. I didn't know that those delicious cookies weren't even on their menu. I also didn't know that Shu Yuan had once texted Shen Yi, "If you had met me first, would you have married me?" At 10 p.m., Shen Yi texted me. He said he'd just finished work and was at the hotel. He said he was exhausted and couldn't video call tonight. He told me to take care and call him if anything happened. I replied to each message, reassuring him I was fine. Then I asked the cafe staff, "Where's Boss Shu? I didn't see her today." The young waitress smiled innocently. "She stepped out. As soon as she went downstairs, she was gone. It's her birthday today, so she's probably out with her boyfriend. She was even holding a huge bouquet of roses. Super romantic." I nodded, bought a coffee to go, and left. This city is huge. Finding 2 people wouldn't be easy. But Shen Yi had once bought me a smartwatch with a tracking feature. Before he left, I secretly slipped it into his laptop bag. It was a gift he gave me when I was 4 months pregnant. I had severe morning sickness back then. By the 4th month, my weight hadn't increased. It had dropped. I didn't realize I was starting to become anemic, nor did I know that the stuffy air in the mall would make me faint. Shen Yi was terrified. When I woke up, his hands were still trembling. That watch was to monitor my health and track my location in real time. It was expensive, so its tracking was highly accurate. Just like now, it had been stationary on the 12th floor of that hotel for 3 hours. I didn't rush there that night. I only have 23 days left until my due date. I still need to prioritize my own health. I threw away the coffee, drank a glass of milk, lay on my soft bed, and turned on white noise to help me sleep. But even so, I couldn't fall asleep. It was like that night over a month ago. The first time I secretly checked Shen Yi's phone, because he was too out of sorts. He cut his hand while peeling an apple for me. He broke a glass while pouring me water. His face darkened, and he kicked a chair hard. I was so scared I screamed. He quickly apologized, saying work was stressful and he didn't mean it. But when I woke up in the middle of the night, the spot beside me was cold and empty. Shen Yi was on the balcony, smoking all night. With a heart heavy as if facing death, I unlocked his phone. That conversation was still open. The contact named simply Shu had sent a message that afternoon. If you had met me first, would you have married me? Shen Yi didn't reply, not a single word. But that night, my heart died in his phone. I arrived at the hotel at 6 a.m., bringing my household register and marriage certificate. I placed all the documents on the reception desk. Shen Yi is my husband. I need to know which room he's in. If you can't tell me, I'll call the police. I had no strength left to argue with anyone. I was exhausted, physically and emotionally. The receptionist froze for a long time. Her expression shifted from shock to hesitation, then to pity. Please wait a moment, I'll check. She quickly gave me the room number. Then she asked if I needed help. I smiled and shook my head. Gently rubbing my belly, I headed upstairs. Shen Yi didn't keep me waiting long. I'd only stood outside the door for less than 40 minutes when it opened. Shen Yi stood there, his hands still on the doorknob. Behind him, a slender pair of arms wrapped around his waist. Shen Yi, thank you for tonight. I'll remember this for the rest of my... What would she remember? She didn't finish. Because Shen Yi panicked and pushed her hands away. He saw me. He rushed toward me. But I tilted my head, looking past him. Shu Yuan slumped to the floor. Her red strap dress could no longer hide her pale legs. She stared dazedly at Shen Yi's back. Her eyes filled with heartbreak and grievance. Tutu! When Shen Yi called my name, his voice trembled. So did mine. The hand hidden behind my back wouldn't stop shaking. I thought I'd prepared myself mentally. But in that moment, I realized I couldn't even stand steady. Where's the car? In the basement parking. Let's go! I braced myself against the wall and turned to leave. Shen Yi tried to support me. I snapped. Don't touch me. His hand trembled, then froze midair. He could only follow silently beside me. At that moment, Shu Yuan chased after us. Miss Lin, you don't have to act like this. There's nothing dirty between Shen Yi and me. Her voice was calm but defiant. The moment she finished, slap! A slap landed. Ah! Shu Yuan cried out, staring at me in shock. What right do you have to hit me? She touched her reddening cheek, hurt, and reached for Shen Yi. But he dodged. He looked at me, his eyes pleading. Tutu, let's go home. Shu Yuan clenched her fists, glaring at me angrily. Miss Lin, if you're upset, take it out on me. What right do you have to hit Shen Yi? Stop talking. Shu Yuan looked at Shen Yi in disbelief. I'm helping you. Be quiet. Shen Yi's voice dropped, a cold reprimand. He didn't even glance at her. His eyes stayed on me. He spoke again, his tone begging. Tutu, let's go home. Tutu, I can explain. Yesterday was Shu Yuan's birthday. She has no friends here and wanted me to stay with her. I was just there to celebrate her birthday. Nothing happened between us. I was wrong to lie to you. I'm sorry. I was afraid you'd get angry or overthink it. I messed up. If it bothers you, I won't see her again. She's just a friend. Tutu, don't stay silent like this. Say something, please. Don't scare me. Since we got home, Shen Yi has said so much, explaining, apologizing, blaming himself. I wanted to say something, but my throat felt stuffed with cotton and I couldn't get a word out. I didn't know where to start or what to say. Finally, I forced out each word. Shen Yi, let's get a divorce. My words made Shen Yi tremble. He clenched his fists, closing his eyes tightly. When he opened them again, he seemed to be holding back his anger. I really didn't do anything. We just drank and talked. Tutu, please don't do this. I know you're mad. It's my fault. I was wrong. I'll accept any punishment. But you have to believe me. I didn't betray you. Betray me? You definitely hugged each other, maybe even kissed. I can smell her perfume on you. And here, I pointed to his lips, a bite mark. Shen Yi froze, his lips pressed tight. I looked at him in despair. How far does it have to go? Do I need to catch you in bed? You were together all night. How can I believe you? Shen Yi, how can I trust you? Shen Yi lowered his head in defeat. He knelt on one knee before me, wanting to touch me but not daring. Tutu, I was wrong. I was reckless, but I swear we didn't cross any lines. Please, for the sake of our years together, for our child about to be born, give me a chance. How ridiculous. He clearly knew how many years we'd been together. He knew our child was about to be born, yet he still did this. And now he expects me to forgive him because of that? Layer upon layer of suppressed emotions. Memories that crushed me. I looked around in panic, my gaze finally settling on my belly. Tears I couldn't hold back fell. My choked sobs sounded like a trapped animal's cries. Shen Yi panicked and hugged me. Tutu, Tutu, what's wrong? What are you looking for? Tell me, I'll help you find it. His voice was like a match, igniting the explosion within me. Finally, I broke down crying. I want a divorce! I want to divorce you! This year marks the 4th year of my marriage with Shen Yi. The pregnancy brought us both joy, but in truth, things were never smooth from the start. My morning sickness was so severe I could barely eat. But if I didn't eat, my body couldn't handle it. I had to force myself. During that time, I cried every day. It was unbearable. So unbearable that I even thought death might be better. We once considered not keeping the baby, but when I saw blood, we both panicked. I was hospitalized for a month to protect the pregnancy. The early months felt like a violent illness. My body was severely malnourished and anemic. Then came that fainting spell. Describing it as chaotic and terrifying wouldn't be an exaggeration. This little life seemed fragile yet incredibly resilient. I feared the stress might cause a premature birth. I even prepared myself to call for emergency help at any moment. I didn't dare get agitated, smash things, or scream. Even crying, I had to suppress, until I couldn't hold it in anymore. The result of suppressing it was vomiting uncontrollably. I clung to the toilet, kneeling on the floor. The pain felt like all my organs were turning inside out. Shen Yi pounded on the door frantically. He begged me to open it, to come out. He yelled, telling me not to treat myself and the baby like a joke. I struggled to hold my belly. I just wanted to end it all with some dignity. But from the moment Shen Yi started hesitating, my self-respect was trampled. He called my parents over. It was only when I heard my mom's voice that I opened the door. My usually gentle father turned cold for the first time. My daughter, so healthy and beautiful, is this how you treat her? They took me away. Shen Yi couldn't stop them. On the way, my dad asked, "What do you plan to do?" My voice was hoarse. I want a divorce. Dad was silent for a long time, then said firmly, "Then divorce." That night, Mom slept with me. She held me, gently patting my back, but didn't ask a thing. Their silence was what helped me calm down. The next morning, Shen Yi came to the house. He brought breakfast, forcing a smile to greet my parents. They nodded slightly, then left us alone. Shen Yi held a bowl of wontons I liked, his eyes pleading. "Tutu, eat a little?" I looked at him, my face expressionless. "Shen Yi, let's talk." He held the food container for a long time before nodding. "Okay, where do I start?" I looked at Shen Yi and said, "I gave you a chance. I even thought about pretending nothing happened." Shen Yi froze, looking at me in confusion. I laughed bitterly. That day, Shiyuan asked you, if you'd met her first, would you have married her? Just because of that one question, you were restless, irritable, angry, and couldn't sleep all night. When you smoked on the balcony all night, I secretly checked your phone. I always thought snooping on a spouse's phone was wrong. Because when you start doing that, it means a distance has grown between you. If even trust is gone, what's the point of staying together? But despite that, I still crossed that line. My words made Shen Yi stiffen. He leaned back slightly, an unconscious posture, a sign of someone wanting to escape. He clenched his fist, taking a deep breath. But I didn't reply to her. I wiped away the tears that had unconsciously spilled from the corners of my eyes. True, you didn't reply, but that silence hurt me more than if you had. The suffocating weight of that silence enveloped us again. Shen Yi opened his mouth several times to speak. Finally, he said, "If you've seen all that, you should also know. Before this, nothing crossed the line between her and me. I only saw her as a friend. Yes, that night we drank too much and lost control a bit. But it stopped there. It didn't go further. Tutu, I really didn't betray you." I didn't look at him, just sighed deeply. On April 3rd, I scheduled a 4D ultrasound. The first time we could see the baby's shape. I was so excited, but you said you couldn't make it because of an important meeting. But in reality, you went hiking with Shuyuan. Every day, you ordered 2 bouquets of white baby's breath from the shop downstairs. One you took in the morning for her. One you brought home at night for me. Except on February 14th, that day, you took a bouquet of 19 roses. The building where you work has a private elevator that needs an internal card. She complained about waiting too long, so you gave her a card. You said your shoulder hurt, and she went to the hospital to buy you a pain patch. Around that time, you always smelled of medicine. When I asked, you said you bought it yourself. On your birthday, after I fell asleep, you went downstairs at midnight. She gave you a pair of cufflinks. She asked, "Am I the first to wish you a happy birthday?" You said, "Yes." There's an understanding between you two. She says, "Go," and you say, "Go." She texts peak, and you reply with a 1. She says sleepy, and you say almost there. When you got a new car, you took her along for a test drive. She said someone thought you were a couple, and you sent an awkward smiley face, followed by a string of ha-has. Every day after work, on your way home, you'd call her. 27 minutes. At a normal speaking pace, that's 2,000 to 3,000 words. Since the passionate early days of our love, how long has it been since we talked that much in a day? The Shen Yi who talked with Shuyuan was a complete stranger to me. No, stranger isn't right, because back in university, Shen Yi was like that. Cheerful, talkative, even a bit childish. It's just that now, the person he's like that with isn't me anymore. It felt like thousands of ants were gnawing at my flesh, driving me nearly insane. Shen Yi lowered his head further. He spoke with a lack of confidence. I only saw her as a friend. Sometimes I was just too tired and wanted to talk to her. We were just chatting. Tutu, what will it take for you to believe me? A deep helplessness pulled me into an abyss. Shen Yi, do you know how much I once wished you'd actually cheated? The intimacy, the understanding between you two, it's like a guillotine hanging over my head. I don't know when it'll fall, only that I'm constantly terrified waiting for it. I thought about pretending not to see. I hesitated about whether to turn a blind eye. But the moment I locked the phone, lay in bed, and acted like nothing happened, I found my resolve. I thought I could endure it, but since discovering this, I can't trust you anymore. Every time you're out of my sight, I suspect you're with her. I don't know what you're saying or doing. Those doubts eat at me every second. I'm going crazy. Shen Yi, you're driving me insane. I screamed, crying in helplessness. Those were the most painful 6 weeks of my life. I truly thought I'd go mad. Until Shen Yi agreed to spend a night with Shuyuan. She said, "Maybe this way, I can let go." Shen Yi, have some mercy on me. Shen Yi replied, "Okay." In that moment, the guillotine finally fell. I rose from the ashes of death. Shen Yi, let's get a divorce. Shen Yi refused. He said he could compromise on anything except divorce. He started coming to my parents' house every day. If they wouldn't let him in, he'd sit in his car all day. He was exhausted, and so was I. Only when I pushed for divorce did I realize how hard it could be. When one party refuses, the only option is to file a lawsuit. From filing to the first court hearing takes at least a month. Without serious fault, the first court won't grant a divorce. Then you'd have to wait another 6 months and file again. Would the second time succeed? Maybe, perhaps, or maybe not. But by then, I was about to give birth. I couldn't wait another month. I had to endure. This caused me anxiety, sleeplessness, loss of appetite, and even outbursts of anger. When I angrily threw Shen Yi's things out the door again, a bowl of warm porridge spilled all over him. Shen Yi trembled with rage. "What more do you want from me? I've apologized, begged you, sworn not to do it again. Why won't you forgive me? Can't I be forgiven? After all these years, can't you give me a chance? Lin Tutu, is your heart made of stone? My ears buzzed. My hand, braced against the door, lost all strength and slid down. Shen Yi, I beg you, stop making me sick. That was the last thing I said to Shen Yi before I fainted. My mom said I lost too much blood. I was rushed to the operating table for an emergency C-section. It was dangerous, but in the end, both mother and child were safe. Shen Yi's mom flew back from abroad. She held my hand, her face full of pity. You've been through so much. Child, why didn't you call me about something this big? Shen Yi, well, he's learned his lesson this time. Didn't you see? He was crying in the hallway. I was too tired to respond. My mom coldly pulled my hand back. Mrs. Shen, if you truly care about my daughter, tell Shen Yi to agree to the divorce and stop tormenting each other. Mrs. Shen froze. Mrs. Shen froze. Dear in-law, as parents, we can't interfere. They just have a misunderstanding. Shen Yi was wrong, and I've told him to apologize. But living together, even teeth can bite the tongue sometimes, let alone a couple. Besides, you've just given birth. Shouldn't you think of the child? They went back and forth, but I stopped listening. I drifted into a hazy sleep. I've always respected and been close to Shen Yi's mom. She was good to me, and I was happy to return the favor. But when trouble hit, I realized parents will always side with their own. Or more accurately, in Shen Yi and his mom's eyes, I might be overreacting. I didn't want to see Shen Yi. He stood outside my hospital room every day. My dad blocked him from entering. He didn't make a scene or force his way in. He just stood there quietly. Occasionally, he'd beg to see our daughter. My mom softened a few times, and while I was asleep, took the baby out to him. I knew it all. I just pretended not to. I couldn't sever the blood tie between them. How could I stop them from seeing each other for a lifetime? Shen Yi's persistence worked. At least my parents started to waver. When they faced me and the baby, they began sighing. My mom even tried to say something but stopped. Maybe let it go? Loneliness and lack of support pained me. But how could I explain that if it were someone else, it'd be fine? But with Shen Yi, it's impossible. I loved him so much. I wholeheartedly awaited our child's birth. Yet he stabbed me when I loved him most. The betrayal from someone I loved tormented me every second. I hated him. I couldn't trust him anymore. How could I live the rest of my life with him? Must I wait until the marriage is completely broken to let go? I stayed in the hospital for 15 days. Shuyuan visited once. She brought a fruit basket and flowers, saying she was there to see me and the baby. My parents had taken the baby for an x-ray. Shen Yi said, "Leave, don't come again." Shuyuan was silent for a few seconds, then spoke with a trembling voice. "What do you mean? You're not answering my calls or texts. What's going on? Can't we even be friends? Or does Miss Lin still misunderstand? I can explain to her. Shuyuan!" Shen Yi cut her off. "Let's not contact each other anymore." Shuyuan cried as she left. The fruit basket hit Shen Yi. She called him a jerk. Shen Yi took it silently without reacting. Then he stood by my bedside for a while. As he turned to leave, I called him back. "Shen Yi?" "Yes." "I just want to ask, if our daughter grows up and faces what I did, would you tell her not to make a fuss?" Shen Yi was silent. I continued, "Our daughter can't, and neither can I." I knew he let me overhear his conversation with Shuyuan on purpose. He was telling me he'd cut ties with her. But what did that mean? Cutting ties now doesn't erase that they never loved each other. Cutting ties now doesn't mean they'll have no connection forever. "Shen Yi, divorce me, or I'll file as soon as I'm discharged." My words seemed to unleash the emotions he'd suppressed. "Why?" he shouted. "I've apologized so much, begged on my knees, cried for you. What more do you want? I made one mistake. Does that deserve a death sentence? Can't you give me a chance? Lin Tutu, is your heart made of stone?" This was the first time he left so decisively. He said, "Let's not see each other for now. Calm down. We'll talk when you've thought it through." At first, I didn't understand Shen Yi. But after being together since university, 4 years of dating, 4 years of marriage, I still knew him. He seemed to mean everything needs moderation. Overdoing it stops being cute. That realization left me cold and strengthened my resolve to divorce. Before my confinement period ended, I met a lawyer and filed for divorce. The lawyer told me the first court hearing rarely grants a divorce, especially if Shen Yi doesn't cooperate. If you're set on divorcing after the first hearing, Start living separately. After a year apart, file again. It'll take about 6 months for a final ruling. I counted the days, waiting for the hearing. When Shen Yi received the court summons, he lost it. Rumor has it he smashed everything in his office and angrily kicked everyone out. I thought he'd come find me, but the news that came first was his mom fainting and being hospitalized. I asked a friend, "What happened?" She shook her head. "Not sure. Seems she argued with Shen Yi's dad, but no one knows why." "How is she now?" "She's awake but crying hysterically, like she wants to die." Hearing that, I felt relieved. As long as she's awake, it's good. My mom asked, "Aren't you going to visit her?" I was changing my daughter's diaper, not looking up. No, if I've decided to end it cleanly, I shouldn't do anything to give false hope. Strange. People seem to grow overnight. Before my daughter was born, I thought Shen Yi's betrayal would devastate me to the point of wanting to die. But day by day, caring for her, that pain faded. I began facing the truth. This marriage had failed. I didn't plan to visit Mrs. Shen, but she called asking to see me once. I don't mean anything by it, Tutu. I just want to talk. Her voice was pained and subdued, making me hesitate. In the end, I decided to go. In just a few days, Mrs. Shen looked haggard. What about Shen Yi? He looked like he'd lost the world, uneasy, hopeless, suffering. He said, "Tutu, thank you. Thank you for visiting my mom." I nodded slightly and entered the room. Shen Yi's dad had an affair. No, more accurately, he'd found his true love and wanted a divorce. That true love was only 2 years younger than Shen Yi. Haha, he said he's never felt so in sync with anyone. They eat together, fish together, travel together, with endless things to talk about. He said he feels reborn. He claimed he sacrificed his whole life for this family. Why can't he live for himself once? The more Mrs. Shen spoke, the more agitated she got. He told me that with this family, he only felt duty, that I and this family trapped him. What right does he have to say that? Hasn't he sacrificed too? Just because he says a few words, he can erase years of love? Clearly, he's the one who changed, who cheated, yet he wants to cloak it in nobility. I won't let them have their way. I'd rather die than let them. Want a divorce to be with his new love? Over my dead body. She gripped my hand, trembling. Tutu, you get me, right? You understand my pain, don't you? You're the only one who knows what I've been through. He's driving me to the edge. Hearing her words, I finally understood why she wanted to see me and say so much. If you haven't experienced it, you can't understand the pain. Before, she easily overlooked Shen Yi's mistakes, thinking it was trivial, like teeth biting the tongue. But now, facing it herself, she calls it pushing her to the brink. I neither comforted nor gloated. Only when she finished did I pull my hand from hers. Meeting her expectant gaze, I said calmly, "Rest well, Auntie. The baby's about to wake. I'll head out." Tutu. As I left the room, I saw Shen Yi waiting outside. He looked at me with hope. "Can we talk?" "Talk? What about?" Even with the divorce, I just wanted it settled quickly, not dragged out. "Shen Yi, do you know? I came to see your mom today, but I'm still in my confinement period. I should be resting in bed, not standing here talking to you." His face paled. He took a hesitant step forward. I stepped back. He didn't dare move closer. "Let me ask you 2 questions. First, if your dad hadn't brought up divorce and only had a confidante, would you sympathize with him or pity your mom? Second, your dad's confidante isn't new. Why did he choose now to demand a divorce?" With that, ignoring Shen Yi's emotions teetering on the edge, I turned and left. Shen Yi's dad was determined to divorce, even willing to leave with nothing. This shocked everyone. The image of a happy family with a solid financial base had always been tied to Shen Yi. He'd never faced family pain. His dad was his role model, his mom forever gentle and kind. After graduation, he used family resources to start a business, now a successful boss. So, he'd never endured much hardship. If there's been a turning point, it's my decision to divorce him. I understand Shen Yi. He knows he was wrong, but doesn't think it's that bad. He chooses to admit his mistake, but believes an apology should suffice. What's the big deal? But his dad's situation seems to have woken him up. These days, he hasn't contacted me, but he often appears outside my apartment. His car parks there, and he sits for hours. One day, he asked my dad to talk, saying he wanted to see me. If she doesn't want to come down, that's fine. I'll just stay a bit and leave. Dad recounted, sighing. Something must have happened. He's lost so much weight, and the smell of smoke on him is overwhelming. After hesitating, I decided to talk to him. We sat on a bench by the road. After a long silence, Shen Yi spoke. "I've thought a lot about your questions." Then I asked my dad why he chose now to divorce. He said it's because of how you and my mom reacted. Your downplaying it made him think a man having a confidant outside is acceptable. He believed I'd understand him loving someone else, since I did the same. So if he asked for a divorce, we should accept it easily. As he spoke, his hands trembled. His voice did too. How could he do this? He and Mom always loved each other. Even the day before he asked for a divorce, he hugged her before leaving. Shen Yi buried his face in his hands. He cried. He cried for his dad's betrayal of their marriage and family. But those tears didn't move me. They irritated me. Until he asked, "Tudu, do you hate me that much?" My hand on the bench clenched, nails digging into my skin, stinging. I recalled the painful memories. At first, I was heartbroken. When I found out you had a confidant, I was devastated. But when she confessed and you didn't respond, I felt relieved. At least you hadn't betrayed me. But you didn't cut it off cleanly, kept doing those things, causing me immense pain. You said you were just friends, never crossed the line. Can't a married man have friends? It felt like if I pursued it, I'd be the one making a fuss. Until you agreed to spend a night with her, I suddenly felt lighter. People say the person involved is blind. Her confession, your silence. It wasn't because you didn't want to, but because you couldn't. So you were tormented, restless, angry. Knowing she had feelings, you didn't keep your distance because you couldn't bear to. You agreed to that night. Didn't you have other thoughts? What stopped you? Maybe it was your last shred of responsibility or moral limit. I looked straight into Shen Yi's eyes. When I realized you also liked her, I truly hated you. His eyes filled with pain, but I felt some of my resentment lift. But it's all in the past. Hatred is too intense an emotion. It hurts others and myself, and it's not worth it. Shen Yi, if you truly feel guilty, then divorce me cleanly, preserving the last bit of dignity for us both. Finally, Shen Yi agreed to the divorce. The tension in me eased. Perhaps the smile on my face hurt him. He left hurriedly, as if fleeing. Shen Yi and I divorced on a beautiful morning, with clear skies and a cool breeze. He left with nothing, giving me all fixed assets, keeping only the company. He said everything of his would belong to Duyu in the future. I took what he gave, but to his words, I only smiled without replying. Life is long. No promises, no trust in promises. Perhaps that's how adults protect themselves. As for his relationship with Duyu, I won't block it or force it. Let it flow naturally. Duyu grows day by day. From a scrawny little monkey, she's become a soft, adorable rice cake. My mom dotes on her endlessly, always joyful. Thanks to that, I get some relief, ending my maternity leave to return to work. Shen Yi often visits Duyu. Each time I find an excuse to avoid him. Gradually, he gets it, timing his visits when I'm not home. Meanwhile, his parents keep fighting. Rumor has it his dad moved out and started a new family. His mom screams and curses daily, but it can't change the divorce. So she vents on Shen Yi, saying it's his bad example that influenced his dad. One drama after another, like an endless play. I don't need to see it. Plenty of people bring me the news. Then Shen Yi's visits grew less frequent. Because his mom's chaos not only hurt his dad's career, but also his company. Some pity him, some mock, others laugh. Even my mom couldn't help but sigh, "Good thing you left that mess early," or even Duyu would have been dragged into it. To that, I stayed silent, offering no comment. Later, I ran into Shuyuan again. She had a new love. She apologized to me. Reflecting on her past foolishness, she said she'd let it all go. Her face was full of relief, as if wanting to erase our grudge with a smile. I found it laughable. You really want to apologize? It's not too much. You're just selfishly seeking peace of mind. Miss Shu, I have no obligation to make you feel better, because you directly destroyed my marriage and family. That guilt is yours to bear. As for me, I just need to cut out the deep-rooted disease, shed the unnecessary burden. I have a job, a child, a loving family. A failed marriage can hurt me for a while, but not my whole life. The key is knowing when to walk away. The first time Shen Yi met Shuyuan was shortly after her cafe opened. To deliver on time, she begged him for a ride on the private elevator. Seeing it as a small favor, he agreed. Later, Shen Yi asked himself, If it were someone else, would I have agreed? Probably not, because Shi Yuan was beautiful and that fleeting glance stirred him. The second time, she thanked him with a coffee, so he let her use the elevator again. Then she gave him a box of homemade cookies. A few more exchanges and they grew familiar. He started ordering afternoon tea from her cafe. They exchanged contacts. Once, while hiking, he ran into Shi Yuan. Turns out she loved hiking too. She shared her homemade sweets and coffee. That moment, Shen Yi felt at ease. Shi Yuan smiled and said, "Shall we go together next time?" Shen Yi just smiled, not replying. He felt it wasn't quite right. But he agreed anyway, because they met again at a concert. That concert was meant to be with Lin Tutu, but she canceled last minute for work. Shen Yi said nothing but felt a bit disappointed. Shi Yuan's presence filled that void. They had so many shared interests. That harmony captivated him. In conversation, he mentioned sending Lin Tutu a daily bouquet of white baby's breath. Shi Yuan admired it. She said no one had ever given her flowers. Shen Yi softened and said, "Shall I get you some?" "Really?" "Of course!" Shen Yi thought it was a small, insignificant gesture. Just an extra bouquet. So later on Valentine's Day, when Shi Yuan said, "I really want a sweet love. It'd be nice if someone gave me roses." Shen Yi agreed without hesitation. "Do you need to be in love to get roses? I'll get you some." Shen Yi didn't overthink it. Was he trying to stop Shi Yuan from entering a relationship? Did Shen Yi like Shi Yuan? Perhaps he did. But whether that liking was love, he never considered. But he knew Shi Yuan's feelings for him were love. How could he not know? Men are more sensitive in these matters than anyone. Yet he didn't want her to say it, because he couldn't give her what she wanted, nor did he want to. He had a wife he loved, a child on the way. Shi Yuan could only be a friend. But in the end, she spoke. That left Shen Yi restless. So restless he didn't want to face Lin Tutu, as if her presence was an obstacle. Shen Yi didn't reply to Shi Yuan. Shi Yuan acted as if she'd never asked. They continued as before. As long as it wasn't exposed, they stood on the moral high ground. But no wall is windproof. That wild night, they hugged, kissed, but didn't go further. When Shen Yi opened the door and saw Lin Tutu, his heart sank to the abyss. At first, Shen Yi didn't think it was that serious. Or maybe he deliberately deceived himself. He just had a friend, someone more in sync than usual. He didn't cheat, didn't betray Lin Tutu. She could be angry, sad, he'd apologize. But that's it. Divorce? That was too far. Since Lin Tutu found out, Shen Yi's mood swung between guilt and frustration. When she suffered, he felt guilty. But when she kept pushing for divorce, he found it annoying. He made one mistake. A mistake not unforgivable. Why couldn't she give him a chance? Shen Yi didn't get it. Until his dad asked for a divorce. That time, Shen Yi's mood was terrible. His mom complained daily. She blamed Lin Tutu for being unreasonable, too stubborn. It's nothing big, yet she acts like the sky's falling. Forget a cross-gender friend, even capable men have complicated relationships. To live peacefully, sometimes you have to turn a blind eye. She said this at dinner. His dad pondered, then asked, "So you think it's no big deal?" His mom, oblivious, replied casually, "Of course, what's so shocking? That's how society is now." Society is like that. So his dad said, "I've fallen for someone else. Let's divorce. I'll leave with nothing." His dad and that woman had been together for 2 years. Calling her a woman fits. She's 2 years younger than Shen Yi. His dad said it's the first time he's loved someone this deeply. "Half my life I've given to family and career. Can't I live for myself just once?" Hearing about his dad's happy moments with her, Shen Yi felt like he'd been slapped. Too similar. His dad and that woman, weren't they just like him and Shi Yuan? He felt stripped bare, ashamed, angry, numb to his scalp. But he couldn't run, because his mom fainted. If your dad didn't ask for divorce and only had a confidante, would you sympathize with him or pity your mom? And why did he insist on divorcing now? Lin Tutu's 2 questions hit him hard. Finally, Shen Yi realized, only when the knife stabs you do you know how much it hurts. What truly pushed him to agree to divorce was his mom's frantic words. "You're just like him. Exactly the same. Even the excuse for chasing women is identical. Disgusting. Disgusting." Lin Tutu once said, "Can you stop making me sick?" He asked, confused. "What?" But then, Shen Yi felt like needles pierced his body, trembling uncontrollably. No, impossible. But didn't he hate his dad? Yes. Couldn't he understand? Even so. Didn't he want to say another word to him? Yes, what if it were him in his dad's place? Lin Tutu, his newborn daughter, wouldn't they hate him too? Shen Yi was terrified. From that moment, he finally felt true regret.